Good morning, Craig.
We made it through some technology challenges. Gotta love 10 million Zooms later and still on the struggle bus occasion.
That's right. That's right. So here we are.
I'm thrilled for this opportunity, Mark. Thank you so much for taking the time.
I'm delighted to be here. Love talking with you.
For those that don't know, I'm Craig Rieger. I'm co-founder of Rieger Coaching Consulting. We're based out of Portland, Oregon. We help real estate agents across the country with balance, consistency, growth, team building, culture, lead conversion. If it's in the real estate space and growing a big business and doing it with some semblance of balance, that's truly what we specialize in. And Mark, what I'm excited, and you and I have been prepping for this for several months, having conversations around it, is success for others. Right?
Yeah, but let's back up for a second.
Please.
And let me share enough about my background so that the people that don't know me on the Zoom can get a sense of who I am. So I spent my whole life up until about 5 or 6 years ago in the real estate industry, mainly with one company, and that's Keller Williams. And I started Keller Williams when there were just a few hundred agents in the company, just a handful of franchises. And the company was operating with the vision to become the largest in the world. And yet we had to really slow down and plan for quality, plan for the future, and get a sense of what it would take to get the people, to go recruit the people that we could succeed through. And so the background on that is that Keller Williams has a belief system called Y4C2Ts. And it is kind of the Y is the W is win, win or no deal, but it ends in success. And it says success through others. And, Craig, you and I were talking the other day, and I said, really, it's not about succeeding through people. It's about succeeding for people, which that in and of itself is, it's a pretty big aha in that the reason that you build something big is not so you can use people to succeed through them, is to build something where they can have big lives and you're building a platform for them to succeed at a high level in life. And that is, it's like you look at your own business and you've got to have the foundation poured for people to be able to build a life where their economic needs are not just provided, but growing and thriving and full of opportunity. And I think that that's where a lot of us, we're operating in such a life of urgency in the real estate industry. I mean, it's like now, and all the things that you have to do, all the fires you got to put out, all the challenges that are going on around you. There are so many distractions that the real key is being able to carve out enough time, getting out of that urgent, important, getting out of urgent and getting into the important category of your time where you can plan what's it going to look like to build a platform to succeed for other people. That's a mouthful.
It is. And from the gentleman that built the largest real estate company planet, I think the stats are you took the company from 700 agents approximately to 140,000 worldwide as a CEO.
I'd be careful about saying I did that. I would say that
you're the CEO at that time.
We did it. And I had the privilege of working on a great team with great people. And so what I would say is, if you look at what it took to get the company from 700 agents to what it is today, if we look at kind of the history of the company, and I experienced all this firsthand, initially, Keller Williams expansion concept was go find regional representatives that owned a regional territory where they could award 25 to 30 franchises. And initially it was, let's just, anyone who shows up who wants to buy one, we go awarded, Gary Keller went and awarded those regions. And at one point it was like, okay, we're not getting where we want to go, was because we had the wrong people in those key regional leadership roles. And so it was slowing down. And by the way, Mo Anderson did this work. I'd give her credit for this. It was slowing down, getting out of business with the wrong people, planning for quality, and then getting a selection criteria that included many things. But it was, first of all, how do you get the very best candidate for these key roles in the company, where we don't have somebody that we necessarily have to teach why we think the way we think, and we don't have to make them want what we want, because they already want it just as badly as we do. And they are the best people at this point in the evolution of their careers, their career futures, for them to be the very best person to take on this role. And I think what happens is a lot of us, we don't have a process. We don't slow it down that much. And we hire for relief because we're overwhelmed. We've got so much flying at us from all different directions that we're just like, help, I need relief here. I need somebody to show up and make this inbox go away. And though we're not hiring for quality, we're hiring for relief. And when you hire for quality over relief, you may lose a little short-term relief in the immediate now, but you're setting your business up for the quality that you can build a platform on for other people to succeed.
So what I'm hearing is slow down, right? First, it's a big vision. Second, it's slow down to build a platform. And then most importantly, which we neglect, I mean, this is what we do in a coaching business every single day. It's actually have a process that we follow to find that talent, onboard that talent, to train that talent, give that talent clear goals and objectives, give them supports throughout the journey. And maybe one of the hardest parts is get the hell out of their way after all of that's in place, because you found this right talent. And that's I mean, each one of these is a building step and a block that seems nearly impossible for people in our industry, especially the most successful ones, right? We start alone. Yeah. We have a measure of success, which creates that pain point you were talking about. And that pain point is I'm up till midnight doing emails, or up till midnight scouring through a home inspection, or up to midnight sending response emails, or tomorrow morning I've got to show more homes. So we hire out of distress instead of slowing down to build that platform and having a process of bringing that talent in to have success for them.
Yeah, I think that the thing that we all miss initially, until we fail our way forward, which is, that's one way to succeed, just fail and learn from it. But the thing we miss is that it's really easy to succeed through ourselves. If we have the right behavior, if we have the vision for success, the big why to succeed, it's easy to succeed through ourselves. We don't have to teach ourselves how to behave to do what we need to do to get where we want to go, until we hit a ceiling where we can go no farther, because we're doing everything. And so then what happens is the rules get more complex. I mean, when it's us doing it, the rules aren't all that complex. But now when it's other people doing it, the rules get incredibly complex. One, you have to know what you're looking for. 2, you have to have a process to interview and select the best candidate, which requires really slowing down and doing painful things like checking references, taking 8 hours out of your day or your week to really understand this person and know what makes them tick, understanding why behavior, that the person's behavioral style is critical to their success in the role, because you can put someone with, a resume that has all the right experience on it with behavior that is not the behavioral style that the job requires, and they're not going to have the opportunity to succeed at the level long-term that someone who is behaviorally matched for the job would have. And here's an example I always give. I'm really good at math. Accounting was the easiest subject for me in college when I got my business degree. I could have aced all the accounting tests required. I could have gotten my CPA. It would have been no problem at all. But if you had put me in an 8x10 office and told me to crunch numbers all day, eventually I put a gun in my head, because I just wouldn't, that's not the job that would be conducive for me to succeed long-term, given my kind of, need to get things done and my, I'm on the DISC, I'm 100% D, 100% I. Don't have a lot of S, my C pops up a little bit. And so I can tell you that as an accountant, where I would need to be an SC, I wouldn't succeed long-term. So you have to not only have this interview process for finding the right person, you have to understand what is the behavioral style that will lead to long-term sustainable success in the role. And then beyond that, Craig, you've got to go through all the gyrations of really slowing down to get to know the person, so you know that this person, this job is the next step in the evolution of their future, their careers, in a way where they will thrive. You want to hire for quality. In order to hire for quality, the person who you've hired has to be thriving, and they have to be in a job where they can thrive. And then, let's take it a step further. Let's say now you've gone through that process, and it could take a month, it could take 2 months. So you're deferring that relief for a month or 2 months. Let's say you've got that right person. Now you've got to train them, which requires more slowing down. So the succeeding for other people is not just hiring the right person, it's having the training model. And then once you've trained them and they're really effective in the role, you got to retain them, and you got to keep them motivated, and you have to earn a relationship with them. And if they're not succeeding in the role, you have to take them out and top grade. And that in and of itself, when you talk about how complex it is to succeed through others, all of that brings a lot of complexity that at times, it's not fun.
Don't we see that on a daily basis with our favorite sports team?
Oh, yeah.
If you think about that industry, regardless of what professional sport it might be, soccer, baseball, football, basketball, they hire the most talented, they recruit and onboard the most talented individuals on the planet. Ladies and gentlemen that were just complete phenoms, probably somewhere starting around age 8 to 12, and continued their journey through college, and have now hit a professional level, and they recruit and onboard this level of talent that they feel is the perfect key for their organization to go to the next level.
And you know what? It's not just one of them. If you got a professional team or a college team, you have to have 3 A+ players and they have to know how to work together as a team. There's more complexity. But
Yeah.
you're right, Craig.
And even in that model, which we just experienced with my beloved Portland Trailblazers here in Portland, Oregon, that we're about 5 or 6 games out of being in the top 5 in the West, which is a very competitive league. Like, we just traded 3 or 4 of my most favorite players. And there's a logic and a reason behind that I may or may not agree with, but I'm camping on that because even after this entire process, you may have to identify and gauge success and happiness and long-term achievement, how they're fitting into the team, the goal, and the organization. And ultimately, you still may want to go and find another player of similar or greater skill set that possibly, similar to your accounting scenario, might fit into the role and be more at a happier level and achieve more success. It's a fascinating concept. Yet back to where we started, I was up till midnight. I can't handle this anymore in my business based on the level of success I have personally had in my real estate career. So great. My friend Susie is really passionate and she's a good friend. So let's bring Susie in, and Susie can help me with my paperwork.
Yeah.
And how does that typically work out?
That's a typical thing. And by the way, is Susie's a great friend, and you believe that she has the ability to succeed in the role, you still have to slow down, take her through the interview process, validate her behavioral style, make sure like she's going to get take that behavioral report, make sure she's got the behavior to succeed in the role, check her references, and stay neutral about whether or not you're going to hire her. I mean, Susie could actually be a candidate.
It'd be phenomenal.
I mean, it could be a little more complex managing a friend and changing your relational role so that now you're their leader in a business setting. But that's not saying that Susie may not be the right person. And by the way, you look at the real estate industry. This is why you have a lot of family teams, right? And here's what's interesting about that. We let our family members off the hook because we love them. Now, do we let the people that we hire after we take them through a whole process and we select them, do we let them fail their way forward? And there's a whole nother level of complexity there. Like, what do you accept? What do you not accept? Where do you let them do it so that they learn? How important is self-discovery in that journey for them versus being told? I'm not real good at being told to do anything. I saw a meme yesterday and it said, I think it said something like, nobody has ever calmed down by being told to calm down.
Right.
I think that the same is true for anytime we tell people what to do. And there is a whole, there's complexity to succeeding for others, and there is an art to it. And you learn that art with experience. We're all going to fail our way forward. It's just, how far are you going to fall before you have some sort of, like, you got a safety latch or something. It's going to keep you from going down anymore.
Right.
But there's a lot of complexity here. And by the way, correct, I think one other thing that's important is that you can't build a platform for success unless you're deeply self-aware about yourself. And I think that, they say the hardest person to lead is yourself. Well, if you're going to lead yourself effectively, you have to understand the reality of where you are in the present moment. And then you have to understand who you are. You have to, it's like strengths and weaknesses. It's like emotions. Where am I emotionally? I use this map of consciousness
Just
constantly.
going to ask you about that.
Yeah. Where am I? What's my energetic set point? And by the way, what kind of vibratory field is that throwing off? What am I attracting because of that? So if we're going to lead others, we have to start by being self-aware.
Self-aware is step one.
Self-aware is step one. And by the way, until we're like I even like think it's important to think about values, ethics. Those are things that a lot of people don't slow down to think about. But what do I value? What do I really believe in as a person? And to go to the map of consciousness, I would look at you could Google David Hawkins, Hawkins map of consciousness, and there'll be lots of images that come up. You have to buy these directly from his organization, and it will send you to a link where you can purchase them.
Awesome. So step one is self-awareness. What's step two in your book? So let's just start at the beginning. I want to make that first hire, which we confidently believe is administrative. So frequently we see folks lean towards, I'm showing homes all weekend. I've got showings this evening during my daughter's soccer game. I need to get showings off my plate, so let's hire a buyer's agent. We know how that plays out. If the buyer's agent is successful, which is the ultimate goal, they're selling 1, 2, 3, 4 plus homes a month. I don't want to bring somebody in my organization unless they're going to have a high level of success. And then I don't have this amazing operations person, he or she, to clean up the messes, schedule the inspections, hand off the paperwork to title. Then I'm just creating a greater mess for myself to clean up. So let's play out that first hire. If step one is self-awareness, what's step two in your process or model, Mark?
Well, let's slow down for a minute. On the self-awareness piece, the first thing you'd want to be self-aware of is maybe the highest and best use of my time is not showing houses. It is generating leads for listings and knowing that I'm making at least a listing presentation every single day. And as far as showing houses goes, if you're in an office of any size, I'm sure there are lower producing agents that would be delighted to take those showing leads. Meanwhile, you've now carved out free time because you're doing what matters most first. And you can plan how you're going to hire that really good person and begin to think like a CEO rather than a salesman with a job or a salesperson with a job. And, that I worked with Bain Henyon first of all, let me say, I have never succeeded without having a coach or somebody who was helping me navigate these uncharted waters, navigate the uncharted feelings, emotions, fears, whatever it is that we have, we all need help. So the first thing I would say is, if you're going to think like a CEO who's functioning at the highest level, you go get a coach and you get the best coach you can possibly find, because the wheel is round. We don't have to reinvent it. And by the way, then once you have a good coach, it is, I can tell you what Bain taught me for years. He said, I said, Bain, tell me what, if you're looking for the best of the best leaders and CEOs, what are the 4 or 5 things that you find that all of them have to have, non-negotiable? And I've got his list right here. He said, number 1, focused on monthly goals that are aimed at a bigger long-term picture and checking off on the 3 or 4 key things that must happen every single month, and doing that daily. You're focusing on those goals daily. He said, secondly, they have a model for who they want to hire, what they look like, what the process they're going to use to select them, how they're going to train them effectively for action, what they're going to do related to retaining them. They have a model that they know inside and out for succeeding through people. And they could easily, fluidly teach a class on behavior. Because behavior gives you, I mean, there's so many tools that you have when you know someone's behavior, right? You know whether or not they're going to have natural job comfort. You know how to communicate with them for an effective dialogue. You understand what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, how you need to shore them up and support them. And so is not only having a process that you can follow to find the right candidates, select them, make the best candidate hire, train them, retain them. It is understanding behavior at a deep level. And that's a skill that can be taught. I would encourage everyone who's succeeding for a team to learn behavior inside and out. And then he said that the other thing is that they are great marketers and rainmakers because they understand the one thing that drives the economic model of their business. And they focus on that first. Fourth thing is all the MIS systems, the management information systems, are focused on those 5 most important outcomes. And they have someone who's helping them with accountability. And last, he said, they know how to make money. They know how to gross up income, and they know how to manage cost. They know how to manage expenses for a profit and loss that keeps getting better, a profitability that keeps growing. That doesn't sound all that complex. Now go do it.
Right. Consistently.
It's kind of like someone could show me an equation from trigonometry back in college. And I placed out of calculus in college, right? It was not hard for me, but you could show me the equation, you show me the problem, and the teacher could solve it right there. And your first gut is, oh, I get it. Doesn't mean you can do it.
Right.
And we have to always remember, we tend to think we know how to do things we haven't mastered. Until you've mastered it, you don't know how to do it. And you need training and you need a coach to help you get there.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a plug for RCC right there.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Well, as part of RCC,
I believe in you.
Yeah, thank you. The monthly goals, which 2 or 3 things that you're knocking off on that monthly goal, and it's a daily exercise and activity that leads to that bigger platform. At RCC, Mark, we call that big agenda, little agenda. And it's something that every one of our coaches hit on every single week. Big agenda is, where do you want to be this year, 5 years, 7 years? What is that big agenda vision? And then little agenda is what action items need to happen, right? We get about a half hour a week with our client, which means they have 6 days and 23 and a half hours without us. So how much of that little agenda did you knock off in those 6 days, 23 and a half hours? Or how much chaos and trauma? And we understand this industry, those things are going to happen. But did you focus on those little agenda items? Because that big agenda is so important. I mean, that's truly your number one. It's outstanding. We've got a few minutes left. And this, when you and I met 30 days ago, we met a few years ago. You've been a constant mentor and friend of my business. And I'm so grateful for that. Mark, you're the reason I originally went to KW. I flew in and I met with you, and you took me through a behavioral assessment, and you told the group I was with, get this guy here and give him ownership.
He's got to have ownership. I remember I met you, Craig. And by the way, this is part of what it takes to succeed through others. You got to see that, oh, I've got somebody here who not only has big goals, but they have big talent. And they're not going to hang out for long in an environment that doesn't help them get where they want to go. You got to be able to see that.
Yeah, you said two things that changed my business, Mark. One was you said find this guy ownership. If he comes on board, he's going to earn it, but find it for him. And I ended up owning 6 market centers and various other opportunities through the KW models and systems while I was there. So thank you for identifying that and creating that pathway. And second is I wasn't sure it was the right company or the right fit for me at that time. And I don't know if you remember saying this, Mark. What you shared is we know there's a level of talent we need in the Pacific Northwest. And it's fine if you're not the right person, which goes back to 35 minutes ago. You said, don't be attached to the outcome. It's fine if you're not the right person.
You want to move up energetically, go to neutrality. And by the way, neutrality is not apathy. Neutrality is, I don't know if this is good or bad. I don't know if this is right or wrong. I know what is, and I can keep asking questions that help me evaluate the situation based on my needs. But I don't know whether or not this is the right job for you. I don't have enough information. What I do know is that when the right person shows up in this role, there is a lot of opportunity and there's a lot of growth that person can grow into.
The neutral place you came from and laid out the opportunities if I want to go seek them. And then Bruce Hardy stepped in that picture and followed that mission with us. So thank you. All right, we've got a couple minutes left. Let's talk about compensation. Let's talk about if I'm going to go where I want to go, what do I need the leaders in my business to be making? If I'm a real estate agent and I'm gonna collect and groom and succeed for others, success for others. What do I want a buyer's agent, a listing agent to make as a minimum in my organization? And I realized you think at a really big level, and I'm not going to hit my goals if all of my leadership staff is making $100,000 a year. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to hit my real estate goals if every agent in my team makes 45 or 50,000. So can you camp on that and share your philosophy around who should we surround ourselves with and what type of financial aspirations should they have?
Okay, so first of all, Craig, let's go back to your sports team analogy. So you want to have 3 to 5 players that are making a really solid living on your team. I would think that would be at least $250,000 a year for buyer's agents. 250, 300. I mean, I know buyer's agents in Austin that are making $400,000 or $500,000 a year.
Sure, it's capable these days.
So, I mean, you might want to, for me, like I drew this out because I thought we might talk about this. So here you are right here. Okay. Now, if you'll just draw out your own diagram like this and think, all right, here I've got 5 different people. Okay. And let's call these wealth determiners. You want each of those wealth determiners to make an income level that exceeds what they could get anyplace else because you're building the platform for them to succeed. So what I do is I look at it in that way, but then there's one additional, like if you want to plus it, it is how much has each of those individuals grown this year? Grown in income, grown in their skills and talents, and grown personally, having better quality time with their families, having more free time, making more money, having a higher quality of life. But I would think for the typical rainmaker real estate agent, you would want to have 3 to 5 people earning a minimum of $250,000 a year. And for me, mine was I had to have 5 people to $1 million to get where I wanted to go.
Yeah, that is success for others, Mark. And I think we played the game too small. And I'm
By
not
the way,
saying
none of them were making $1 million before they
No.
came into this world. And it should be the same for your $250,000 earners.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're playing too small as an industry. And I'm not talking about teams of 25 or 200 or 300, and they've got their own complexities. Even the teams of 5 and 7. Why should we not have a group that's growing? As you said, you're growing in knowledge, growing in balance, growing in skill, and growing financially. Why shouldn't we have multiple people on our team making $250,000 a year? What would that look like for us? What skill do they have that they're now capable of going? Because what we hear is only I can do it. Well, if you've got multiple people in your organization, regardless of size, making $250,000 a year, odds are pretty high. They're pretty damn good at what they do. And what type of leverage does that give you to go and build the company or have your daughter's soccer game without being glued to your phone the entire time? We play too small in what we want to do, rather than attracting and onboarding and training and helping that talent go to the level where they deserve to go. And having a really great life and income that comes with it. We play too small.
Well, here's what I would say. We are better at thinking big than we are at slowing down. And so it's easy to think big. When I say slow down, what I'm saying is I'd rather see you have 3 people earning more than $250 a year than see you have 40 people earning an average of 30 to 40 a year.
Sure.
You'll go farther. And that's been proven again and again, that you can actually do more with 2 talented people who want what you want, who have big goals and want a big future, and they have lots of energy and drive, and they have the experience they need. You're better off with 2 people like that than 200 people who are scattered.
You know what's amazing about that model, Mark, is what it creates is we use the word frequently, culture. It creates a culture. So when you bring in, if you got those 2 or 3 that you've helped get to that level of success, and then you bring somebody else on, and they see the work ethic, they see the dedication, they see the balance that person's achieved, they see the wealth, they see the potential passive income streams, and it creates a culture of, hey, when I join this organization, I now have my avatar. I now have, hey, I look at what this person's achieved. You can tell by their habits and their daily routines the steps they've taken to get there, and it creates a culture of the organization. And for me and the folks we coach and the businesses that I own and lead, that's the kind of culture I want. I don't want 200 bodies randomly running around where I've got a couple that are super successful and 45 that haven't done anything in 120 days and some group in the middle. I want a culture of success. And we do create that through this model and system you've been discussing for the last 35 minutes.
Yeah, and that's also the runway for success, because as those people learn and master their jobs, they then can go get other people. But when you have a bunch of people and no one has learned and mastered what they do, you're the one who's always training them in and out. And you don't build a sustainable model for success that ramps up exponentially.
It's the slowdown.
I think that's the whole key, right?
Yeah, it is a slowdown. When Amory and I came back from California, we were so focused on the franchises we're leading there with the wonderful business partners that brought us in, and on the franchises we owned, because that was our role in the company. And we, in transparency, my personal sales team, which I'd had at that point 17 years, was the only company that had my name on it. And we went from 2.5 million in revenue to 700,000 in a 2-year period. It collapsed, and it hurt, and it was embarrassing, and it hurt my pride. And when we came back, Amory and I, my wife, my business partner, we had a lot of decisions to make. Hey, do we just let the team go and focus on the brokerages? And after a lot of discussion, long story short, we slowed down. Said, okay, if we're going to do this, We're going to do it right. We're going to follow a model and system. We're going to attract the right talent. We're going to onboard the right talent. We're going to train the right talent. And it was an incredibly difficult process for me. And this was a 2-year process, Mark, for me to move that slow. Yet what we created.
You and I are alike behaviorally.
And 90% of them are still here 7 years later. What we created, which is unheard of on a real estate team.
Right.
What we created was a wonderful success for others, these human beings we brought in, incredible training, and a platform then to onboard dozens and dozens of additional team members over the last 3, 4, 5 years, and have them plug into it. And into the words that inspired this conversation is, I no longer had to do it. I've got a whole team of people trained in our culture, our models, our systems, our philosophy, our level of customer service. And each one of them now becomes the trainers and mentors to the next group. And the next group wants to do it because they've seen the success and happiness of the group in front of it. It's really a beautiful mission when it all comes together.
Back to where we started, success for other people to get what they want.
That's it. That's it. Well, Mr. Willis, I'm so grateful for your time and opportunity, the knowledge you shared, for your mentorship and your friendship. Thank you so much for spending some time with RCC this morning, Mark.
I've had a blast. Look forward to talking soon. Thank you to everybody who's been on this. I've truly enjoyed it, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Mark. Take care, buddy. Thanks, everyone.